Yes, people, Ali here. Welcome to my page. 16 bits of bobs. Yes, I'm going to be reminiscing on the golden days, the heydays of video games. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the early 90s, the 16-bit days, the days between Sega and Nintendo. Mega Drive versus SNES. What was better? They were both brilliant. Of course they were. Fantastic. Let's get excited. Let's get enthusiastic. And let's talk about my favourite games of that time. So a page dedicated to the golden era of the early 90s, 16-bit consoles, particularly SNES and Mega Drive. Let's talk about that. And we're going to jump in with my favourite game of all time. And in my personal opinion, the best fighting game ever made. A game hasn't even come close to it. It's so perfect. The perfect example of beat 'em up. Now, what am I talking about? I don't want to just reveal the title. I kind of want to go back in time to 1991 when I was 13 years old. I was a school kid living in southeast London, New Cross, getting on the 53 bus up to Blackheath, where I went to Blackheath Bluecoats because it was in Blackheath. We wore blue coats and we would be touching everything. And I want to say that in a weird way because of coronavirus, everyone's super mindful on cleanliness and being clean and you know what you're touching. But as a 13-year-old kid, back then, you would be touching everything, right? You'd be getting on a bus, you're pressing on the bell, ringing the bell all the time, making the bus stop. You didn't want to get to school, so you'd press it at every single stop. You get off a bus, you go to school, you do all your lessons, you'll be doing PE, right? You'll be doing IT, computer, so you'll be touching all the keys. You'll be in science with Bunsen burners and chemicals and getting proper grimy, and at break time we were playing WWF in the locker rooms, like slapping each other into lockers, doing like clotheslines. And you would have lunch and you go to the canteen and you just dig in with your chicken burger and chips with your ketchup after school. All the kids would literally migrate, like the entire school. Well, everyone of that age, I guess, like who was like 13, 12, 11, like 14, whatever, that kind of age. Everyone would leave school, turn right, 30 seconds there was a cab office, and it would be full of kids. And obviously none of the kids are getting cabs home, we're all getting on the bus afterwards. But in that cab office, you were prepared. Your hands, after touching all that stuff all day, were ready for the joystick to get that perfect friction on that joystick. That joystick would be covered in Monster Munch, penguins. You would save your 20p from the tuck shop, and you'd be putting. I'm sure it was about 20p. It was either 20. I think it maybe went up to about 30p for a game, and either that 20p would last you 30 seconds, or it'd last you from start to finish. You could complete a game in 20p, and the cab office would stink like the locker room. It would be full of sweat, Lynx Africa, but then you would have other kids with chips, salt and vinegar, and the buttons would have like sticky chocolate on them from Curly Whirlies or Penguins or Breakaways or whatever, and there'd be crumbs in there. And then after all day of touching that stuff, your hands were perfect to come in contact with that joystick and those buttons. You had the perfect friction, and it was just yes. And you put your coin in, and what we're talking about, people? We're talking about Street Fighter 2 World Warrior 1991, the absolute complete fighting game. There isn't a better fighting game. I don't care what anyone says. It is the best game, the best fighting game ever, the best fighting game ever. But Capcom come out with two other versions which made it proper complete, and that was their Turbo Edition, which was a bit faster, but I preferred the normal pace, and Championship Edition for me was the best. Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, where you got to play as the other four characters with four bosses: Bullrog, Vega, Saga, Bison. So in 1992 it came out for the home. It's still here. This is what, 30 years old now. Still works on this cartridge. I mean, the hours spent playing on this, hundreds and days and weeks. It's a special place in my heart because in 1992, there was a show in London, in Earls Court, called Future Entertainment Show, and they had loads of games there, you know, all the companies, Sega, Nintendo, They would showcase all the latest games. But they had Street Fighter 2 there, and at that time I was pretty good at it. And for a brief period of time in the 1992, I was UK champion, and that's why it's got a special place in my heart and why I love it so much. But Street Fighter 2, the pinnacle of fighting games, the absolute jewel in the crown, the pearl in the oyster, the vinegar on the chips. It is the game, it is the game, it is the beat 'em up, it is my favourite beat 'em up. Why was Street Fighter 2 so perfect? It was the characters, right? The special moves, and each character had their special moves. I mean, Ken and Ryu with the Dragon Punch and the Fireballs and the Hurricane Kick. You had Chun-Li with a Spinning Bird Kick, Guile with a Sonic Boom. You had Sagat with a Tiger Uppercut. Yes! So Street Fighter 2, 91, Capcom, they set the pathway for all these other beat 'em ups. We're talking about the Tekkens, the Mortal Kombats, the Virtua Fighters, and everything else that exists today. They set the pathway. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Of course you agree. I mean, it's the best game, right? But the next two videos I'm going to be doing, I'm actually going to be doing sequels as well. One of them probably the best sequel in a video game to come out. They're both amazing sequels, even though Street Fighter 2 was an amazing sequel, because if you look back at Street Fighter back in 1987 now, if you look at that, unrecognisable, it's shocking. But let me know what you think. Good, bad, do you agree, do you disagree? Let's have a talk about it. Catch you very soon on the next video. Thanks for watching. 16-bit bits and bumps. Catch you soon.